Hey folks, I'm Dennis. Thanks for watching my video. Do you get aggravated with the little yellow oil drain valve that's on a lot of these Briggs and Stratton's engines? I do. The things tend to get loose, they leak, then you got to mess with the little drain tube and that sort of thing. So today I'm going to show you how to swap that thing out, not have to deal with it anymore, make your oil changes a little bit easier. Thanks for watching. Let's get started. Now I'm doing this modification on a Husqvarna YTH 22V46 lawn tractor. You may have a different installation, so you may have to size some of the things that you need a little differently, but here's what I used, and here's what you'll need to do it on this tractor. You need a 13/16 wrench to get the yellow oil drain valve taken off. You need some PTFE or Teflon tape. That's to seal the pipe threads, and that stuff's good for up to about 500 degrees. Operating temperature on one of these engines is probably around 200, so it'll be fine. You're going to use 3/8 inch black or galvanized pipe. You can buy either one. Pipe fittings come in black pipe and galvanized pipe. You can use whichever one you want. The galvanized won't be as likely to rust. The black pipe may rust a little bit if you let your tractor sit out in the weather. If you keep it covered up, probably no big deal. And once it gets a little coat of oil on it, it's not going to rust anyway. So on this tractor, I'm using a 3/8 by 3.5 inch nipple, a 3/8 by 2.5 inch nipple, a 3/8 90 degree elbow, and a 3/8 black cap. And I'll show you those out of the package here in a minute. But the pipe thread on the block of a Briggs and Stratton engine is 3/8 pipe, iron pipe, so these will thread right up to it just fine. So I'll show you how to do that in a second. You're also going to need some shears or a good pair of scissors to trim away some of the plastic on the cowling. And you're going to need a pair of channel locks and a pair of pliers, or a small pipe wrench and a pair of channel locks, 2 pipe wrenches, something like that, to tighten up these pipe fittings. If you're not familiar with this valve and the problems created by it, etc., just check out my oil change video. I'll reference that below. This valve is a little problematic for people. You have to have this tube to go on it. It's a 1/2 inch vinyl tube. You got to stick it on here and drain your oil. It tends to get away from you, leaks a little bit. I'll have to modify the cowling on the side, allow access for the pipe, but that's okay. I'd rather deal with that than to continue to deal with this thing. So you're going to need your 15/16 wrench, and you basically just get in here and get the thing loose, and they're usually not very tight anyway. You need to drain the oil out, obviously, before this, because you're fixing to take this valve out. I've already drained the oil from my engine. So you take that out, and that's the threads, which are 3/8 iron pipe threads, so makes it easy. That's your 3/8 by 3.5 inch nipple. It's got threads on both ends. I'll put a list in the description of the items that you need to buy, and that way you can take it with you to your hardware store or Home Depot, wherever you're going to go, and they'll be able to help you find it if you're not familiar with this stuff. Now you're going to get a little bit of seepage out of here if you just did drain the oil out of your engine. I actually parked mine on a little bit of a slant, and I drained it yesterday, and I let it sit here with the vinyl tube stuck in my oil jug, and just let it drain overnight, so it wouldn't have so much of a mess when I did this. But if you don't mind a little bit of oil spilling, just drain your oil out like you're going to change it, put you a couple of rags and whatnot down, and you'll be all right. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take your Teflon tape. It's called PTFE thread tape. I'm not sure if you can see that written on the thing, but that's, if you just look around your pipe fittings and things like that, they'll have different widths of Teflon tape, and it's cheap. It's usually only, I think, $1 or $2 a roll. And what you're going to do is you're going to thread it, or you're going to wrap it around the threads to seal it, basically. And like I say, this tape is good for up to about 500 degrees, which is nowhere near the operating temperature of one of these engines. The hottest they're going to get is 2 something. So you don't have to worry about the tape melting. And it'll give you a good seal on the threads. So what you're going to do is you're going to wrap it looking at the threaded end. You're going to wrap it clockwise, so that when you thread it up, or when you thread it up, it won't roll the tape back. And it only takes a couple of wraps. You want to keep it relatively clean. And what you're going to do is you're going to put it on here and pull it a little bit to get a little bit of tension on it until you get it wrapped. But you'll see how it kind of squeezes itself into the threads. So really all you need is a couple of laps. Then you can just pull it and it breaks right off. No problem. So then I'm going to take that, zoom it in so you can see it a little better, I guess. So that's where the yellow drain valve came from. Now, before I put this in there, you see how this goes. It's going to go in there just like that. Now, before I put this in there, I'm going to go ahead and put the 90-degree elbow on this end, just so I don't run out of space to screw it on. So I'm going to do the same thing with this end. I'm going to take my Teflon tape and start it like so. Just hold on to it, and then I'm going to turn this a couple of turns, get a couple of wraps on there, and then just break it off. Just pull it off. Then I'm going to take my 90-degree elbow, which is also 3/8, and I'm going to thread that on like so. Just going to screw that pipe in there. And what you might want to do is take like a pair of channel locks or a pipe wrench and another one here and tighten this up, just so you don't get any leaks. I'm going to take this assembly and hang on to that pipe with my channel locks, and then really I can probably just tighten it up by hand, but if you want to get after it a little bit, just, you know, take them like so. Just be careful not to booger up the threads, and then tighten that up. So then you've got that, and you've got your Teflon tape on the other end. So now we're going to put that into the drain hole on the block. So you just thread that in there. Same thing, just be careful not to cross thread it. The block on these engines is aluminum, so you don't want to really crank down on it, because you'll strip out those threads. Like so. Now I'm going to turn mine to where it just goes straight down like that. Then you take your 2.5-inch nipple and do the exact same thing with it. Put Teflon tape on each end of it. Same deal. You want to thread that on there clockwise. Get 2 or 3 laps on there. Tuck the tails like so. Thread that in there. And I'm going to take my channel locks and tighten it up also. Or you pipe wrench, whatever you got. There we go. And then finally, you take the cap, which looks like so. It's also 3/8 cap. And just put that on there. You may have to redo the Teflon tape on occasion with the cap. Probably not. It's pretty resilient. And you probably don't even have to tighten this up with pliers. I'm going to. just to be safe. You can probably finger tighten it. I just don't want to lose that. Now what we have to do is make a relief in the cowling so that this doesn't hold that cowling out. It goes in here like so. Like so. You see it's going to hold that out. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my shears and cut a relief out up underneath here on the bottom of this cowling, because this little hole here that's supposed to hold it onto the frame, the rivet that they use for that doesn't hold it anyway, so I'm not missing anything by cutting that out. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I've got a pair of shears that'll cut just about anything, and I'm going to make a couple of cuts right there, and I'm probably going to have to cut all the way up into here to give it enough room. But I'm going to take these shears and where I just marked it. And you know, you may not be comfortable doing this. I don't mind doing it on mine. I'm not sure my shears are going to cut through this plastic. I might have to get a hacksaw. There we go. That may or may not be enough, but that's kind of the idea. And then you may have to work with that a little bit on your particular tractor to make it fit. Yeah, I need a little bit more taken out of that. And you can take a file or sandpaper and kind of clean this up once you get it where you need it. I'm going to go take a hacksaw and cut that off. Alright, so I cut the rest of that out using a hacksaw, and I'll clean all this up once I get done and get it to fit just right. I'll clean this up with a file and some sandpaper so it doesn't look quite so rough. So yeah, so that's fine. That snaps in like it's supposed to, and fits just fine. So now when I go to change my oil, all I have to do is put my catch bucket, my jug right here, take this off, and drain my oil. I don't have to worry about messing with this silly yellow valve anymore, because it's annoying. And then everything else is the same, so makes it a whole lot easier. Alright, so that's it. It's not too difficult to do. You just gotta make sure you get the right parts. I'll give you a parts description and list below that'll help you to get what you need. I calculated the volume on the additional pipe, and it's a 1/2 ounce. So like this particular engine, it's a 22 horse Intech. It takes 64 ounces of oil with an oil change, or with an oil filter. So now it'll take 64.5 ounces. So not a real big deal. Probably won't even be able to tell that on the dipstick. But just be aware it takes a little bit extra. So with a 3.5 and a 2.5 nipple, an elbow, and a cap, you're looking at about a 1/2 ounce extra oil. Not a big issue. So that's all there is to it. Thanks a lot for watching my video. I appreciate it. Check out some of my other videos on the channel for this lawnmower and for other things, car repair, some home maintenance, some workshop building videos, things like that. Thanks for your support. Give me a like if you would, subscribe to my channel, and hope to see you back soon. Take care. God bless.